We had a simple configuration in previous sections. Now in this section I want to talk about different area types. And the first area type that I'm going to talk about is stop area. So what is a stop area? Take a look at area 35 and router 5. As you can see, router 5 has only one link to the network, and any other prefix just comes from router 3. So the only way to reach to all prefixes in my network is router 3. So why would I go and take the burden of having so much routes in my routing table when I know that all of those routes just point to router 3? Let's go to router 5's routing table. If I open IP routes, you can see that all of them are reachable through router 3, and I don't need to have so many routes. Now, of course, this is not too much in my case, but if you have a big network, you can see that all of those routes that are, maybe hundreds of routes, all of them are here just to show me that anything is reachable through Ethernet 2 to router 3. So I don't need to have such configuration. I just go and tell the OSPF that just give me a default route, and I will use that default route to reach to every other network. I don't need to have so many routes in my routing table. I don't need to have so many computations of OSPF. So I want to change this to stop. I need to do this on router 5 and router 3. Any router that is in area 35 need to be configured as such. So let's go to router 3 first and go to areas here. As you can see, I have area 35 here. I double click on area 35 and you can see that here I can change the type of the area. I click on here and tell this that this is gonna be a stop area. So I use stop type for this, click on OK, and you can see that after a moment neighborship is going to be lost because the other side should agree that this is a stop area. So I go to router 5 in area 35 and open routing OSPF and go to areas and change the area type of 35 to stop area. Okay. Now that I have changed this area type, let's take a look at routes that come here. If I open routes here, where are your routes? Routes are here. You can see that after a moment the routes are going to change, and I will have very limited type of routes here. And of course I'm going to talk about LSAs mostly. Let me wait for some time. Now you can see that I have a default route injected into my OSPF database. These are the routes that come from OSPF, and as you can see, it just shows me to point every other prefix just to router 3. So let's go to LSAs. This is important here to check the LSAs. You can see that the injected default route comes from an ABR, that is 3333 in my case, and you can see that's kind of LSA type 3 summary network. The other things are just network and router LSAs that we can see here. Okay, this is kind of a configuration that you will go for that, but let's go to area and check something else. If I go to area 35, I can see that there is an inject summary LSA here. I just take this and click on OK, and I will do the same thing on router 3. Actually, I don't need to do this on router 5, but router 3 is an ABR, needs to be the type that injects summary LSA. Click on OK. Now go back to router 5's routes again and wait for the changes. You can see again the neighborship is going to be lost, and I need to wait for some seconds before everything is populated again. And now you can see that I have all of those routes plus a default route. So this is not what I meant to do. Actually, this kind of area is called stop, and when I take when I remove the check from this inject summary LSA checkbox, I am actually creating a total stop area. A total stop area has only one LSA, and that LSA is summary network LSA. But whenever I'm putting a check beside that, I am actually receiving all of those routes plus a summary network default route. So in my case, it doesn't make any sense to have this checkbox checked here. I just want to have a totally stop router area, so I just select type stop, and I need to go to router 3 as the ABR, and this is much more important to configure here. So I double click here and remove this check, and you can see that I can click on OK, and everything is going to be like before. So let's go to router 5 and wait for some seconds, and next see the default routes being injected into here. And if I go to LSA, actually I am more interested in seeing the LSA. You can see that the summary network just came in. So this is what stub area means. Now to configure a not so stubby area, I want to change the configuration a little bit, and I want to show you what not so stubby area means. So let's go for the next view, and this view is going to have a little changes. Open this with Paint and close actually. Now I want to do something here to show you what is an NSSA area. I just want to remove some of this configuration. Let me find the eraser here and select the biggest pen size. I don't want to have this link between these two routers. Actually, I'm removing area 34. Oh no, area 0. I'm removing VLAN 34 from my configuration. And after removing this configuration, I just want to change the type of areas that I have here. I select the brushes. This part is going to be area 0. So I will type area 0 here. Area 0, that is my backbone area. And let me change the brush. This type is in this way, this part of my network is going to be area 13. Okay. This part is going to be area 24. Type in area 24. And this part is actually going to be something else. It is going to be a RIP network. It is not part of my OSPF configuration. So this is going to be my RIP network, okay? Now router 3, because router 3 is between an OSPF and RIP configuration, it is going to be an autonomous system border router. So router 3 is going to be an ASBR. And I want area 13 to be a stub area, kind of a sub area. This is because, again, router 3 only has one link to reach to other part of my network, and it doesn't need to have all of those routes. But there's a problem here. Sub areas do not allow redistribution, and I'm going to talk about redistribution in a moment. So router 3 is going to redistribute some routes from RIP area into OSPF areas. So if I select router 3 and router 1, actually area 13 to be a sub area, I cannot inject routes from RIP area into my OSPF configuration. So what should I do with this? I am going to make this area a not so stubby area. Actually, this is a stub area, but not so much. It allows redistribution. So I'm going to change the configuration to reflect this. First of all, I need to make sure that router 1's E2 and router 2's E2 plus the loopback interfaces are in area 0. So I'm going to router 1 and change all of those configuration. I don't want to have area 1, 2, 3. I want to, let's go here. I want these interfaces to be in Backbone. So let me check the configuration. VLAN 12 is gonna be in Backbone. VLAN 13 is gonna be in Area 13. So I change this area name to 13, and I am going to change the area ID as well to 13, 13, 13, 13. And area 13 is gonna be a not so sub area, but I'm going to change it in a moment. So let's go back here and make sure that this is an area 13, and it is in area 13. Loopback interface is gonna be in area 0. So click on OK. On router 2, I have Ethernet 2 and loopback 0 in area 0. So let's go to router 2 and change the configuration here. As you can see, it is very fast to change the configuration. So I put these two into area Backbone, and this is gonna be in under area 25. So I go here and change this area to area 24 and change the area ID to 24, 24, 24, 24. And I'm going to change the area tab later if I want to. So I go to network and put this under area 24. So the configuration of router 2 is done. Router 3 has an area 13 that Ethernet 1 is gonna be there. So I go to router 3, and change the areas. I'm not going to have area 1, 2, 3. Actually, I'm going to have area 13 that has an area ID of 13, 13, 13, 13. I'm going to change the type of area later. I don't want to have any area 35, so I remove this. It tells me that some networks are in area 35. I'm going to change this. So this is in area 13, and this is quite okay. And loopback interface is under Backbone, and this is gonna be lost. I don't want to have this, and this is gonna be lost again. This is going to be under rep area. So let's go back to area and remove area 35. I don't need it anymore. So if I check interfaces, I can see that Ether 1 is under area 13 and it has a neighbor, and it's going to be neighbor after a moment. No, the neighborship is created. Loopback interface is under area Backbone. It is going to be under area actually 13, not Backbone area. So I put it under area 13 and click on OK. Okay. Now on router 3, I need to make some kind of configuration. Let's go to router 4 first of all. And on router 4, I'm going to put everything under area 24. So let's go to area and change the area to 24. There is no area 24, so I added area 24. And the area ID is going to be 24, 24, 24, 24. I click on OK, and let's go to networks. Any area is going to be, any interface is going to be under area 24. So all of these interfaces go, all of these networks go under area 24, and click on OK. That's it. Now I need to see the neighborships coming on after a moment. You can see Ethernet 3 is not going to be here, so let's remove this network. I'm not going to have Ethernet 3 configured. So what I am going to do is to disable the link between router 3 and router 4. So I need to go to interfaces and select Ethernet 3 here and disable this for the moment. So these two routers does not have any connection to each other. Okay, on router 3 I can do the same, but one way is quite enough. So I can go to router 3, Ethernet 3, and disable this link. And this is not working. Now my configuration is done. I just need to configure router 3 and router 5 for RIP. Let's go to router 5 first. On router 5, I don't want to have this area, so I just remove the networks using minus button. Don't want to anymore area 35 here. I don't want to configure OSPF. So when there is no network here, OSPF is not running. So close this, go to routing RIP, and under routing RIP I need to add some networks. The network is gonna be 172.16.35.0/24. Click on OK, and let's go to interfaces and add all of interfaces, and I am going to select version 2. No authentication. I can select Ether. What is the interface name? Ether 2 and loopback 0. Ether 2 and loopback 0. It is going to be under version 2, and it is going to be passive. So I click on OK. Now the RIP configuration on this side is done, and I'm going to have some loopback interfaces added to my configuration. Click on the interfaces, and you can see I have some Ethernet interfaces, and I can configure interfaces for this, but I prefer to have some loopback interfaces. So I click on plus, select bridge. I name this loopback, for example, 11. Click on OK. I add another one, loopback 12, and the loopback 13, like this. I'm going to assign some IP addresses to these loopback interfaces. I go to IP addresses here, add this 11.11.11.11/24 for loopback 11. I'm going to add 12.12.12.12 for this /24. I'm going to have this as /24 as networks. 13. That's going to be for loopback 13. So I click on OK. Now I have interfaces here. Just want to go to RIP and make sure that these networks are available. So I go and add 11.11.11.0/24, 12.12.12.12, 0/24, and 13.13.13 0/24 under networks, and I need to add interfaces here. Select loopback 11 version 2, select loopback 12 version 2, and select loopback 13. So this is version 2. As you can see, my configuration on RIP on router 5 side is done. Let's go to router 3, and in router 3 we'll have only one interface in RIP area, and that's going to be Ethernet 2. So router 3, I go to routing RIP and make sure that this network 172.16.35.0/24 is under RIP configuration. And if I go to interfaces and add Ethernet 2, that's going to be Ethernet 2, yes, and I want it to be working under version 2. There is no authentication. I click on OK. After some time, you can see that all of those routes from router 5 comes and reaches to router 3. But if I go to other routers, such as router 1, I cannot see those routes in my routing table. If I go to IP routes, I cannot see them advertised by any other routing protocol. This is because this is an autonomous system border, and in this border I need to have some kind of redistribution between RIP and OSPF so that other areas can reach to these prefixes. Now I want to do something else. I want to make area 13 a not so stubby area. Let's go to area 13 on router 1 and router 3. So I close this and go to areas and select area 13 and make it an NSSA area type. I'm not going to select Translate Saver for now. Now I'm not going to inject summary. I click on OK. I do the same thing on router 3. Close RIP. Go to areas, select area 13 and select NSSA types and click on OK and check the routes for now, and you can see that after a moment the routes are going to be injected again, but there is a difference between what we see now and what we saw in previous configuration. I don't see any route from other routers. I don't see a default route right now. I'm going to change the configuration a little bit more. I go to router 1 and select this time to inject the summary LSA. I click on OK. And I don't need to do this on router 3, but just for the sake of clarity, I just select radio 13 and select inject summary LSA. Actually, this is not an ABR, so this does not make any change here, but just want to be clear. Let's go to route and wait for some time and again see the LSAs. I want 4 LSAs, and after a moment I should see an LSA that injects a default route into my area. I haven't seen it yet. And now you can see that there is a default route here. And actually I have some other routes about other neighbors. As you can see, this is different from what we saw in stop. Of course, no, this is not different from what we saw in stop area. We have a default route and we have routes to other parts of our network. If I go to router 1 and remove this, inject summary LSA, and I do the same thing on router 3. Let's go to router 3 and go to networks, go to areas and remove this from here. I click on OK. I need to wait some more time and see the result here. After a moment you should see that the routes are going to be withdrawn. And make sure that on router 3, on router 1 I did yes, I did it. And go to router 3. I want only to see a default route. You can see that the routes are withdrawn and I need to wait for sometimes to see the default route. So this is the configuration of an NSSA area that I have done. I need to wait just for some time to see the new default route injected into my OSPF database. Now in the next section I want to show you how I can redistribute routes from RIP into area 13 and see them in other areas. So this is the configuration that I'm going to do in next section.